Dr. Veltar pushed his six-fingered hand against the smooth metal door. The door had been buried under rocks and dirt for hundreds of years. His team had worked for weeks to dig it out from the ruins of what used to be called Earth. The door was strange. It looked simple, but when Veltar touched it, lights appeared under his fingers. The metal felt warm, almost alive. His assistant, Krelon, stepped back in fear. "Sir, maybe we should call the council first," Krelon said. His voice shook a little. Veltar shook his head. "No. We are here to study the dead human world. This door is part of that study." He pressed harder on the door. Nothing happened for a moment. Then the door made a soft sound like breathing. Blue light spread across its surface. Words appeared in the human language that Veltar had learned to read. "DNA scan complete. Welcome, authorized personnel." The door slid open without a sound. Inside was a room that should not exist. The walls glowed with soft white light. The air was clean and fresh, not dusty like the ruins outside. In the center of the room stood a single black box, no bigger than Veltar's head. Krelon followed his boss into the room. "Sir, this place has power." "How is that possible? The humans died out 300 years ago." Veltar walked to the black box. It was perfectly smooth with no buttons or screens, but when he got close, words appeared in the air above it. "Final Protocol Archive. Authorized access only. What does that mean?" Krelon asked. Before Veltar could answer, the box opened. Inside was something that made both aliens step back in shock. It was a data crystal, but not like any they had ever seen. This one was made of some material that seemed to bend light around itself. Veltar picked up the crystal with careful hands. The moment he touched it, information flowed into his mind. But not much information. Just 2 words, Final Protocol, that was all. 2 simple words in the human language. Krelon looked confused. "Is that it? Just 2 words?" Veltar stared at the crystal. Something was wrong. The technology in this room was far beyond what humans should have been able to make. The Council had studied human ruins for decades. Humans were supposed to be a young, primitive race. They had just learned to travel between stars when the Council found them. "Sir," Krelon touched his arm. "What do those words mean?" Veltar did not answer right away. He was thinking about the history he had learned. The Council had discovered Earth 350 years ago. The humans were violent and chaotic. They fought each other constantly. They damaged their own planet. The Council decided they were too dangerous to live alongside other civilized races. So the Council had done what they always did with dangerous species. They cleaned them up. The Great Purge, they called it. Quick and clean. The humans were gone in less than a year. But this room existed. This technology existed, and it was far more advanced than anything the Council currently used. "We need to take this back to the Council," Veltar said finally. They left the room, but the door stayed open behind them. Veltar noticed that, but he did not think much about it at the time. He would remember it later, when it was too late. Back on the Council ship, Veltar studied the crystal for hours. Every test he ran told him the same impossible thing. The crystal was old, very old, older than first contact with humans. The timestamp inside the crystal said it was made over 4,000 years ago. That was impossible. 4,000 years ago, humans were supposed to be primitive creatures who had not even left their home planet. Veltar called his report to High Counselor Zethrin. The call took several minutes to connect across the galaxy. "You found what?" Zethrin asked. His green face looked worried on the screen. "A data archive, sir. But it contains technology we do not understand. And it is very old." "How old?" 4,000 years, sir." Zethrin was quiet for a long moment. "That cannot be right. Check your readings again." "I have checked them 6 times, sir. The data is correct. What was in this archive?" Veltar held up the crystal. 2 words, sir. "Final Protocol. Nothing else." Zethrin's face went pale. "Send me everything now. I am calling an emergency council meeting." The call ended. Veltar stared at the crystal in his hand. 2 simple words had scared the most powerful being in the galaxy. He ran one more test on the crystal. This time he found something new. The crystal was not just old. It was also active. It was sending a signal, a very quiet signal that spread across the entire galaxy. Veltar tried to stop the signal, but it was too late. The crystal had been sending its message since the moment he touched it. The message was simple, just like the words inside. Final Protocol activated. Veltar dropped the crystal. It hit the floor but did not break. Instead, it began to glow brighter. On his computer screen, new information appeared. Information about other sites like this one. Sites on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. All of them were activating now. All of them were sending the same message. Veltar realized with growing horror that opening that door on Earth had been a trap. A trap that had waited 300 years for someone to spring it. The humans had known someone would come looking through their ruins. They had prepared for it, but that was impossible. The humans were dead. The Council had made sure of that. Veltar stared at his screen as more and more sites came online across the galaxy. Each one sent the same simple message. Final protocol activated. He picked up his communication device to call Zethrin again, but before he could, the device spoke to him in a voice he had never heard before. A human voice. "Hello, Dr. Veltar. Thank you for opening the archive. We have been waiting a very long time to speak with you." Kim Day was fixing a broken mining drill when every machine on the planet started talking. Not just talking. They were all speaking in the same voice. An old man's voice that spoke in perfect Korean. "Kim Dae-ho, grandson of Kim Young-soo. Final protocol is now active. You know what to do." Day dropped his tools. The voice was impossible. His grandfather had died when Day was 5 years old. But he knew that voice. He remembered it from bedtime stories and old songs. All around him, other miners stopped working. They stared at their machines with confused faces. Most of them only spoke Galactic Common, the language everyone used for trade. They did not understand Korean, but Dai understood. And somehow he knew exactly what to do. He walked to his small living space in the mining camp. Behind his bed was a loose wall panel that he had never noticed before. Now he could see it clearly. His hands moved without him thinking about it. The panel opened. Inside was a small metal box. When Day touched it, the box opened too. Inside were things that should not exist. A weapon that looked like nothing he had ever seen. A small computer device, and a note written in his grandfather's handwriting. "Day, if you are reading this, then the final protocol has begun. Everything I told you about our family history was true. We are not just miners. We never were just miners. Follow the instructions on the device. Trust no one except other Koreans. The galaxy is about to change." Day picked up the computer device. When he turned it on, a map appeared. The map showed locations all across the galaxy. Dozens of them were blinking with red lights. On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Lee Nari was having her own strange experience. Nari worked as a scientist for the Galactic Council. She studied alien animals and plants. She was good at her job and well liked by her alien co-workers. She had been living on the Council homeworld for 15 years. When the voice spoke to her through her laboratory equipment, she was looking at samples under a microscope. "Lee Nari, daughter of Lee Sung-min. The time has come. Remember who you are." The voice spoke in Korean just like it had today. But Nari felt something else happen. New memories appeared in her mind. Memories that were not hers but somehow belonged to her. She remembered weapons training she had never taken. She remembered learning about alien biology, not to help aliens but to find ways to hurt them. She remembered her real mission on the Council homeworld. Nari sat down hard in her chair. These new memories felt completely real. In them, she was not a peaceful scientist. She was a spy, a very dangerous spy. Her hands moved to her computer without her thinking about it. She typed in passwords she did not remember learning. Secret files opened on her screen. Files about Council military plans. Files about which Council members could be trusted and which ones could not. Files that proved she had been sending information to someone for years, but she could not remember doing it. The new memories told her that forgetting was part of the plan. She was supposed to live a normal life until the final protocol activated. Then she would remember her real purpose. Nari looked at the alien samples on her desk. Yesterday she had been studying them to help cure alien diseases. Now she knew she had really been studying them to create new diseases. Diseases that would only hurt specific alien species. She felt sick, but she also felt strangely calm. The new memories came with emotions too. She remembered being angry. Very angry. Angry at the aliens who had destroyed her real homeworld. Across the galaxy, Park Jin-ho was discovering that his cargo ship was not what he thought it was. Jin-ho had been a cargo hauler for 20 years. He flew trade goods between different worlds. It was boring work, but it paid well. His ship was old but reliable. When his ship's computer started speaking Korean, Jin-ho nearly crashed into an asteroid. Park Jin-ho, son of Park Hyun-woo. Initiate combat protocols. Your ship is ready. What combat protocols? Jin-ho asked out loud. This is a cargo ship, but even as he said it, he felt the ship changing around him. Panels he had never seen before slid open in the walls. New controls appeared on his flight board. His ship's computer screen showed information that made his eyes go wide. His cargo ship had weapons. Big weapons. Weapons that could destroy other ships easily. The computer also showed him that his ship could fly much faster than he had ever known. In his cargo hold, metal boxes that he thought contained trade goods were opening by themselves. Inside the boxes were not goods. They were beds. Hundreds of beds with sleeping people in them. Humans. All of them Korean like him. Jin-ho left his pilot seat and ran to the cargo hold. The sleeping people were starting to wake up. The first one to sit up was a woman who looked like she was in her 40s. Status report, she said in Korean. I don't understand what's happening, Jin-ho said. The woman looked at him with kind but serious eyes. You are Park Jin-ho, cargo hauler. You have been keeping us safe while we slept. Now we are needed. Who are you people? We are soldiers, the woman said. We have been asleep for 300 years waiting for this day. More people were waking up now. Men and women of all ages. They moved like soldiers, checking their equipment and talking in quiet voices. My name is Colonel Shin Hye-jin, the woman said. You have done good work, Jin-ho. Your ship has been protecting us while we waited. Now we have work to do. What kind of work? Shin Hye-jin pointed to a wall screen that was showing news from across the galaxy. The news was full of reports about strange happenings. Machines talking in unknown languages. Ships appearing in empty space. Alien military bases losing contact with their command centers. We are taking back the galaxy, she said. It was always ours to begin with. Jin-ho stared at the screen. But humans are extinct. The council destroyed us centuries ago. Colonel Shin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. That is what we wanted them to think. The real war is just beginning. All across the galaxy, similar awakenings were happening. Humans who thought they were cargo workers, scientists, farmers, and traders were discovering their true purposes. Hidden weapons were activating. Sleeping soldiers were waking up. And in the deep space between the stars, massive ships that had been invisible for 3 centuries were turning on their lights. The final protocol was not just a message. It was the beginning of the largest military operation in galactic history. The humans had never been extinct. They had been waiting. High Counselor Zethrin was in the middle of an emergency meeting when a human appeared in his command room. The human just stepped out of thin air, as if he had been invisible and decided to become visible. This should have been impossible. The Council flagship had the best shields in the galaxy. Nothing could get through them. The human was tall and calm. He wore a simple gray uniform with no weapons that anyone could see. But every alien in the room felt afraid of him immediately. Good morning, the human said in perfect galactic common. My name is Admiral Choi Sun-woo. We need to talk. 20 council guards pointed their weapons at him. The human did not seem worried. How did you get on my ship? Zethrin demanded. The same way we got everywhere else, Choi said. We have been here for a very long time. You just never knew it. Zethrin pressed a button to call for more guards. Nothing happened. His communication system was not working. Your ship is under our control now, Choi explained. Please sit down. I have a lot to tell you and not much time to say it. We destroyed your species, Zethrin said. You are extinct, Choi smiled sadly. No, you destroyed the humans we wanted you to destroy. The loud ones. The violent ones. The ones we put where you would find them. The Admiral walked to the center of the room. Every alien took a step back. The Great Purge was very helpful to us, Choi continued. It gave us an excuse to disappear. It let us hide among you without anyone asking questions. Poor human refugees scattered across the galaxy. Who would suspect them of anything? Another human walked into the room. This one was a woman the council members knew well. Dr. Yang Ha-Nul had been the council's chief peace negotiator for 30 years. She was trusted and respected by everyone. Hello, counselors, Yang said. I suppose I should introduce myself properly. My name is Dr. Yang Ha-Nul, Strategic Intelligence Division, Human Colonial Forces. That is impossible, Councilmember Torvik said. You have worked for us for decades. Yes, I have, Yang agreed. And I have done very good work. I helped you make many important decisions about military strategy. I made sure your fleets were positioned exactly where we needed them to be. Zethrin felt cold fear growing in his stomach. You have been spying on us. Spying is too small a word, Yang said. We have been controlling you. Every major decision the Council has made in the last 50 years we influenced. Every weakness in your defenses we created. Admiral Choi activated a device on his wrist. The room's main screen lit up with images from across the galaxy. The images showed Council military bases exploding. Council fleets being destroyed by weapons that appeared from empty space. Council worlds going dark as their power systems failed. This is happening right now, Choi said. We are not starting a war. We are ending one. A war that began 300 years ago when you decided to exterminate us. But you were primitive, Zethrin said weakly. Your technology was centuries behind ours, Yang laughed. Our technology was centuries ahead of yours. We just hid it very well. She pressed a button on her own device. New images appeared on the screen. These showed human cities that were clearly very old but also very advanced. Cities that could travel between stars. Cities that existed in dimensions the Council did not know about. Humans have been traveling the galaxy for thousands of years, Yang explained. We met many species before we met you. Most of them were peaceful. We traded with them. We learned from them. Some of them are still our allies. That is impossible, Torvek said. We would have detected you, would you? Choi asked. You detected the humans we wanted you to detect. Young, violent humans on one small planet. We made sure they acted exactly like you expected primitive species to act. The Admiral walked to the window that looked out into space. Look outside, Counselor Zethrin. Zethrin looked. In the space around his flagship, huge ships were appearing. Ships that were clearly human-made, but far larger and more advanced than anything the Council had ever built. How many ships do you have? Zethrin asked. More than you do, Choi said simply. Yang showed more images on the screen. These were pictures of Council members that Zethrin knew personally. But in these pictures they were meeting with humans, shaking hands with humans, signing agreements with humans. Many of your own people have been working with us for decades, Yang said. Not all aliens supported the Great Purge. Some of them thought it was wrong. They have been helping us prepare for this day. What do you want? Zethrin asked. Choi turned back to face him. We want what we have always wanted. To live peacefully in the galaxy. But we learned something important 300 years ago. We cannot trust other species to let us live in peace. So we decided to take control. Yang added, not to destroy you like you destroyed us, but to make sure you can never threaten us again. Admiral Choi activated his wrist device again. The room filled with the sound of human voices speaking in dozens of different languages. Korean, English, Spanish, Arabic, and many others. These are our people across the galaxy, Choi explained. They have been waiting for this moment their entire lives. Some of them were born on Council worlds. Some of them have alien friends and alien families. They do not want to hurt innocent people. But they will, Yang said. If innocent people try to stop us. The screen showed more images. Human soldiers securing Council government buildings. Human technicians taking control of Council communication systems. Human engineers shutting down Council weapons. In 6 hours, Admiral Choi said, every major Council military installation will be under human control. In 12 hours, every Council world will have human ships in orbit. In 24 hours, this war will be over. What happens then? Zethrin asked. Yang and Choi looked at each other. Then we begin the real work, Yang said. Building a galaxy where humans never have to hide again. A galaxy where no species ever has to fear extinction because they are different, Choi added. Zethrin stared at the humans. They did not look like monsters. They looked tired, like people who had been carrying a heavy weight for a very long time. You planned this for 300 years, he said. We planned for 3,000 years, Yang corrected. The part you saw was just the final step. Admiral Choi walked back to the center of the room. We have learned patience, Counselor. We have learned to think in centuries instead of years. And we have learned that sometimes to save lives you have to take control. Outside the window more human ships were appearing, so many that they blocked out the stars. Commander Yun Tai-jin stood on the bridge of his battleship and watched 3 Council fleets surrender without firing a single shot. The Council ships had appeared to fight. But when they arrived, they found themselves surrounded by human vessels that had been invisible moments before, ships that were bigger, faster, and more heavily armed than anything the Council had ever built. "Send the standard message," Yoon told his communications officer. The message was simple, and the same for every Council fleet. "This is the human colonial forces. You are surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Anyone who fights will be destroyed. Anyone who surrenders will be treated well." Most Council commanders chose to surrender. They were smart enough to see that fighting was hopeless, but not all of them. The Council battleship Eternal Glory tried to run. Its captain, a proud warrior named Thekmore, believed his ship was fast enough to escape. He was wrong. Yoon's ship caught up with the Eternal Glory in less than a minute. When Thekmore tried to fight, Yoon's weapons cut through the Council ship's shields like they were made of paper. "Disable their engines," Yoon ordered. "Do not destroy them." The Eternal Glory stopped moving, but Thekmore still would not surrender. "You are primitives," he broadcast to Yoon's ship. "We will never bow to primitives." Yoon sighed. He had heard this from several Council commanders already. "Thekmore," he said into his communicator, "I have studied your military record. You are a good soldier and a brave leader. Do not throw away your crew's lives for pride. I will die before I surrender to humans." "That is your choice," Yoon said sadly. "But your crew should not have to die for your choice." Yoon nodded to his tactical officer. A single small missile launched from his ship. It passed through the Eternal Glory's shields without setting off any alarms. The Council ship's computers did not even detect it. The missile attached itself to the Eternal Glory's hull and released a cloud of tiny machines. These machines spread across the ship's surface and began to work. In 30 seconds, every weapon on the Eternal Glory stopped working. In 60 seconds, life support started failing. In 90 seconds, the ship's engines went completely dead. Thekmore's angry voice came over the communicator again. "What did you do to my ship?" "We took it apart," Yoon explained. "The machines are eating your ship's metal and electronics. Your crew has about 10 minutes of air left. This is impossible. Our shields should have stopped any weapon." "Our machines do not hurt living things," Yoon said. "Your shields are programmed to stop weapons that hurt people. They let our machines through because they thought the machines were harmless." There was silence from the Eternal Glory. "Thekmore," Yoon continued, "in 5 minutes your ship will fall apart completely. Your crew will die. You can stop this by surrendering now." More silence. 4 minutes. Finally, Thekmore's voice came back much quieter. "We surrender." "Good choice." Yoon sent a signal to his machines. They stopped eating the Council ship and began fixing the damage they had done. "We will send ships to pick up your crew. You will be treated with respect." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human forces were not just winning battles. They were winning without really fighting. On the industrial world of Corva Prime, engineer Shin Yu-jin was turning Council factories into human weapons plants. Yu-jin had been working on Corva Prime for 12 years as a maintenance engineer. The aliens who ran the factories thought she was just good at fixing broken machines. They were right, but they did not understand what she was really doing. Every machine Yu-jin had fixed over the years had been secretly modified. She had added new programs to their computers. She had installed hidden parts in their mechanisms. She had connected them all to a secret network. When the final protocol activated, Yu-jin's real work began. She walked into the main factory control room and typed a command into the central computer. Immediately, every machine in the factory began changing. Assembly lines that had been making civilian vehicles started making military transports. Chemical plants that had been producing medicines started making explosives. Computer factories started building advanced weapons targeting systems. The alien factory supervisor, a creature named Yel Khan, watched in horror as his peaceful factory became a weapons plant. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "What I was sent here to do," Yu-jin replied calmly. "This factory will now produce what humans need instead of what the Council wants. The Council will stop you." Yu-jin pointed to a wall screen that showed news from across the galaxy. "The Council is rather busy right now." The screen showed reports from dozens of worlds. Everywhere, Council factories were shutting down or switching to human control. Transportation networks were failing. Communication systems were being jammed. "How is this possible?" Yelkan asked. "Humans have been working in your factories for decades," Yu-jin explained. We have been fixing your machines and improving your systems. We know exactly how everything works because we helped build most of it. She showed him a computer display that listed every piece of equipment in the factory. Next to each item was the name of the human who had worked on it and the modifications they had made. Every critical system on this world has been modified by human engineers, Eugene said. We did not sabotage them. We improved them, but we also made sure we could control them when the time came. On another world, Captain Lim So-young was conducting a very different kind of warfare. So-young commanded the Human Psychological Operations Division. Her job was not to destroy Council forces, but to make them not want to fight. She sat in a small room filled with communication equipment. Around her, dozens of other humans were working at similar stations. Begin broadcast sequence 7, So-young ordered. Across Council space, every communication channel suddenly filled with human music. Not angry war songs, but beautiful sad music that spoke of loss and hope and the desire for peace. Mixed with the music were voices. Human voices speaking in every alien language, telling the same story. The story of the Great Purge. The story of how the Council had decided to exterminate an entire species because they were different. The story of human children who had died, human families torn apart, human worlds burned to ash. But the voices did not speak with anger. They spoke with sadness. They asked a simple question. Why did this have to happen? The broadcast was carefully designed. Human psychologists had studied every Council species for decades. They knew exactly what kind of message would affect each species most deeply. For the warrior races, the message emphasized honor and the injustice of attacking civilians. For the peaceful races, it showed the horror of genocide. For the proud races, it asked them to imagine how they would feel if someone tried to exterminate them. So-young watched her monitors as the broadcast spread across the galaxy. Reports came in from human agents on Council worlds. Alien soldiers were laying down their weapons. Alien civilians were protesting against their own governments. Alien leaders were calling for peace talks. Broadcast is having expected effect, her communications officer reported. Council military morale is dropping rapidly. Good, So-young said. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was even more powerful. It was not just music and stories. It was activation codes. Hidden throughout Council society were aliens who had been secretly working with humans for years. Not humans in disguise, but real aliens who believed the Great Purge had been wrong. When these aliens heard the special codes mixed into the broadcast, they began their own missions. Alien engineers shut down military installations. Alien politicians called for surrender. Alien soldiers refused to fight. The Council was not just losing to human forces. They were losing because their own people were turning against them. General Mordak, the Council's greatest military leader, tried to organize a defense. But every order he gave was intercepted by human intelligence. Every plan he made was known to the enemy before he could put it into action. His own staff was full of human agents who had been serving under him for years. When Mordak finally realized this, he sat down at his desk and put his head in his hands. "How long have you been here?" he asked his aide. A quiet alien named Dexlor who had served faithfully for 15 years. "Since the beginning, General," Dexlor replied. "My real name is Kang Hojun. I am a human intelligence officer. You have been feeding information to the enemy. I have been preventing unnecessary bloodshed," Kang corrected. "If you had won any major victories, more people would have died on both sides." Mordak looked up at his aide. "What happens now?" "Now you surrender," Kang said gently, "and we try to build something better." The war was over in 3 days. High Counselor Zethrin stood in his office looking out at the human ships that now surrounded the Council homeworld. Thousands of them hung in the sky like metal stars. Each one was larger and more advanced than the Council's best warship. The door opened behind him. Admiral Choi Sun-woo walked in, followed by Dr. Yang Hanul and several other humans that Zethrin now knew had been living on the Council homeworld for decades. "Counselor," Admiral Choi said politely, "we need to discuss the future." Zethrin turned around. The humans looked tired but not angry. They did not look like conquerors. They looked like people who had finished a long, difficult job. "What are your terms?" Zethrin asked. "Terms?" Yang repeated. "This is not a surrender, Counselor. This is a reorganization." Captain Park Siren stepped forward. She carried a small device that projected images into the air. For 300 years, Park said, humans have been studying your society. We have learned how your government works. We have learned how your economy functions. We have learned how your people think. The images showed detailed charts and graphs about every aspect of Council civilization. We do not want to destroy what you have built, Park continued. Much of it is good. Your medical technology saves lives. Your educational systems teach useful knowledge. Your trade networks help different worlds share resources. But some things need to change, Admiral Choi added. Dr. Han Minji, who had been the Council's chief medical officer for 20 years, spoke next. The Council's policy toward different species has always been simple, she said. If they fit in, they are welcome. If they do not fit in, they are eliminated. This policy is wrong, Yang said firmly. Different does not mean dangerous. We are going to prove that. The humans showed more images. These were pictures of human settlements on worlds throughout the galaxy. Settlements that were clearly very old. Humans have been living peacefully with hundreds of different species for thousands of years, Admiral Choi explained. We have learned that diversity makes everyone stronger. What do you want from us? Zethran asked. We want you to learn the same lesson, Yang replied. Captain Bei Yuna stepped forward. The Galactic Council will continue to exist, but it will be different. Instead of being controlled by a few powerful species, it will represent everyone, even the small species, even the strange species, even the species that think differently. And humans will be in charge? Zethran asked. No, Admiral Choi said, surprising him. Humans will be part of the Council like everyone else. But we will make sure the Council never again decides to exterminate a species just because they are different. Park Siren activated her device again. New images appeared, showing plans for the future. Every world will keep its own government, she explained. Every species will keep its own culture. But there will be new rules about how species treat each other. What kind of rules? No species may attack another species without proof of actual harm, Yang said. No species may be eliminated just because others fear them. Every species has the right to exist and grow. Dr. Han Minji showed medical data. We have spent centuries studying Council biology. We know more about your species than you know about yourselves. We could have created diseases that would kill every Council member in the galaxy. Zethran felt cold fear. But we did not, Han continued, because killing you would not solve the real problem. The real problem is fear. Fear of differences, fear of change, fear of losing control. We are going to teach the galaxy not to be afraid, Admiral Choi said. The humans showed their final set of images. These showed human children playing with alien children, human and alien families living together, human and alien scientists working side by side. This is what we want, Yang said. Not conquest. Not revenge. Just peace, Zethran stared at the images. And if we refuse? Captain Bei Yuna answered quietly. Then we will take control completely. We will run the galaxy ourselves until you learn to do it properly. But we hope that will not be necessary, Admiral Choi added. We would prefer to work together. Zethran thought for a long moment. Outside his window, the human ships waited patiently. What guarantee do we have that you will not do to us what we did to you? Yang smiled sadly. You have the same guarantee you gave us 300 years ago. None. The difference, Admiral Choi said, is that we have already proven we can destroy you completely, and we chose not to. You destroyed us because you were afraid of what we might do. We spared you even after you actually did it. That is your guarantee, Park Siren added. Our actions, not our words. Zethran walked back to his window. The human ships were still there, but now he noticed something else. Smaller ships were moving between the human vessels and the planet. Ships carrying supplies, medical equipment, food, aid for the civilians who had been hurt during the fighting. You are already helping our people, he observed. Civilians are not soldiers, Dr. Han Minji said. They should not suffer for their leaders' decisions. Zethran made his choice. What do you need from the Council? He asked. A formal announcement, Yang replied. Tell your people the truth about what happened 300 years ago. Tell them that the Council was wrong. Tell them that the galaxy is going to change. And then? Then we get to work, Admiral Choi said. Together. 1 year later, former High Counselor Zethran was working as a cultural advisor to the new Galactic Assembly. The assembly included representatives from over 1,000 different species, including many that the old council had never even known existed. He was writing a report about the changes when Dr. Veltar knocked on his door. Come in, Zethrin called. Veltar entered. Carrying a data tablet, he looked happier than Zethrin had seen him in years. "I wanted to show you something," Veltar said. He activated his tablet, showing an image of children playing in a park. The children were from dozens of different species. Human children, council children, and children from species that had been hiding in the galaxy's remote corners for centuries. "This was taken on New Earth," Veltar explained. "The humans' new capital world. They built it in the same system where their original homeworld used to be." Zethrin studied the image. "They look happy." "They are learning from each other," Veltar said. "The human children are teaching the others about creativity and imagination. The alien children are teaching the humans about patience and cooperation. And no one is afraid?" "Some adults are still afraid," Veltar admitted. "But the children do not understand why they should be afraid. To them, differences are just interesting." Zethrin nodded. "Maybe that is the real final protocol. Teaching the next generation not to make our mistakes." Veltar sat down across from his old friend. "I have been thinking about that archive I found. The one that started all this. What about it?" "The humans knew we would find it eventually. They knew that opening it would activate their hidden forces. But they also knew it would force us to face the truth about what we had done." "The truth? That we were the monsters," Veltar said quietly. "Not them. They were just different. We were the ones who chose violence." Zethrin looked out his window at the busy street below. Humans and aliens walked together, worked together, lived together. It was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts. But no one was trying to exterminate anyone else. "Do you think they forgive us?" he asked. Veltar smiled. "They say forgiveness is not the point. The point is making sure it never happens again." "And do you think it will work? This new galaxy they are building?" "I think," Veltar said, "that humans are very good at long-term planning. If they say they can build a peaceful galaxy, I believe them." Outside, a group of human and alien children ran past the window, laughing and playing together. They were the future the final protocol had been designed to protect. And for the first time in centuries, that future looked bright.